Okay, so it begins. So again, we're going to dash through this parsha for the speed of light, but keep writing. It's a continuation of the laws of warfare that we began previous parsha. It says, and when you're making a war that isn't a mitzvah war, remember we said the wars for the conquest and defense of Israel are a mitzvah. So this is a preemptive war for the security of the borders, expansion, and all of this. So if you take a prisoner, okay, if the prisoner is a woman and the soldier in question wants her, so what he has to do isn't to rape her just there at the moment, which is like what normally happens in warfare tragically, but he has to bring her home for a period of 30 days. During this time, her hair is unruly, she has to let her nails grow, she has to not wear the garments of her captivity in earlier cultures, and to some degree as late as World War II. When people were anticipated being captured, they would deck themselves out because they want to find favor in the eyes of the captors. And after a month, they may marry. Okay, it's allowed to marry. And if not, he has to send her away. He cannot sell her. He can't trade her. He can't treat her in a way that gives any benefit to him. Okay, next. The firstborn share. If a man has two wives, which we spoke about in a previous class, and he loves one and he dislikes the other one, meaning hates the other one, and they both have children, he can't disinherit the eldest son of the hated wife in order to make the son of the beloved wife his heir. The firstborn gets twice as much as any other son in the family because he has financial responsibility. So he can't switch them. Next, the rebellious son. If a person has a wayward, rebellious son who doesn't listen to them, doesn't listen to the parents, and he's a binger, meaning he could eat this vast amount of stolen meat all at once while it's partially cooked. He can't control himself till it's fully cooked. Plus a vast amount of stolen wine at the same time, repeatedly. Okay, the parents have to declare to the elders of the city, our son is uncontrollable, wayward, and rebellious, a glutton, a drunkard, okay, and he is put to death. Write the question.
Are you serious?
I am. Write the question. Okay, I told you, you're going to hear a lot of outrageous stuff. Write the questions. Today is for information. If a person is legally sentenced to death, you still have to give him a proper burial. Next, returning lost articles. Now, what this has to do with anything else? What should you do? Ask. Okay, write a question. So if you happen to see something that belongs to anybody, you can't ignore it. You can't act like you don't see it. You have to go out of your way to return it. The way you return it is by letting the public know that you found this object, and you give it to somebody who claims it by presenting two signs through which you can know it's truly theirs. Next, you see your brother's donkey fallen under its load. You can't ignore it. You have to pick up the load. You have to help the poor donkey. If it's your brother and your enemy, you have to help the enemy first. Ask a question. Okay. Next. Okay. I still have you?
Wait, what was it? I forgot my question for the last one because I have a question for this one. What was the one before this that was weird?
The one before that was weird was about lost article. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Transgressing. A woman and a man may not wear the same clothing, meaning a woman can't dress as a man as a woman. What that actually constitutes, what am I going to tell you to do? Write down the question and find out why. Next, if you come across a bird's nest, okay, clear? On the tree or on the ground, and it has baby birds or eggs, and the mother is sitting on the chicks or the eggs, you can't take the mother and the eggs or the chicks at the same time. You have to drive away the mother, and only then you're allowed to take the eggs or the chicks. You can't do it while the mother is watching. Okay? Next. I know this is going to sound... Okay, this will all make more sense tomorrow. Okay, you have to come tomorrow. You built a new house. You must have a guardrail on the roof. Now, I want you to carefully hear this. So the person who is going to fall off a roof anyway doesn't fall off your roof. You understand this? It was determined already last year, Rosh Hashanah, that this person will die. He's going to fall off a roof. But you should see that you didn't do anything to make it your roof. Okay? You're right? Okay, now, don't plant different species to make a third species of... Okay, got this? Okay, so you can't mix, let's say, grapes, bananas, and cherries to make repulsive, long cherries.
GMOs. You can't do GMO, genetically modified.
No, you can't do GMOs except within the same species. Okay, so, yeah. You could eat it, but you can't make it. So apricots, which, for instance, you could eat but not make, although now they have their own seeds. You can't plow together with an ox and a donkey. Their strengths are different. You can't plow together at the same time with them. And indeed, you shouldn't hire two people to do a job together when their strengths are incompatible. Next, you can't wear woolen linen, unless you're wearing tzitzis. Okay, next. Okay, now we're going into marriage. Okay, so a couple get married, and he hates her. Okay, so in the marriage, he signed a ketubah, which is a financial agreement, in which he wrote that he would pay her a certain sum of money upon divorce. But he doesn't want to pay it because he hates her. So he makes up lies about her that she's having an affair with another man. He can't support his accusations. There are no witnesses. So therefore, he has to pay her a large sum of money. Okay, and he can't divorce her unless she wants the divorce also. In other words, he loses his right to initiate divorce. Okay, next, if the accusation is true and she really is an adulteress, we already learned this in the Ten Commandments, both she and the man are killed. Okay, next, write down the questions. Today is just information because it's too much information to give you and stopping for questions. You have a situation that arises where a man and a woman who are not married to each other slept together. She says it was a rape. He says it was consensual. Who do you believe?
The woman.
Okay, so all the women will say what? Let's hear it again.
The women.
So the Torah says it depends. It depends on what? Now she may be just saying this in order to get him in trouble and to get some money out of him, or not. If this took place in an isolated area, such as an empty field, so if she cried out for help, nobody would have heard her, then she's believed. If it took place where there are plenty of people around, then he's believed. Even though it could be untrue either way, that's the criteria in the Torah. Okay, now, if he raped her, in addition to paying her the 5 kinds of damages which you pay anyone who you harm, which are doctor bills, time out from work, any permanent damage that prevents work in the future, shame and pain. Okay, those are the 5 that you pay anyone who you damage. You have to pay her an additional fee because she was raped. Okay? So it's not instead of these 5, it's in addition to these 5. Therefore, a person should not be alone in a place that's isolated. Okay, clear? So this will include the empty field, the empty office building behind locked doors, lonely beach, whatever you could picture. Okay, clear? Okay, a man who has mutilated genitals and isn't capable, therefore, of normal sexual relationships may not marry. Okay, next. Okay.
Testicular cancer?
What? It would depend. There are very specific injuries. Okay. Okay, probably yes. Okay, but if he's married already, they don't have to be divorced. Okay. Okay, next. A child who's the fruit of a marriage of someone who's an adulterer or the child of incest may not marry. Write the question. Okay, remember?
Does it have to be specific? Like, if my dad was an adulterer before he married my mom, does that...
No. If only when they're married. Okay. Okay, next. Ammonites and Moabites, who were people who, when the Jews went through the desert, They greeted them, instead of by helping them with supplies, they gave them canteens full of compressed air so that it exploded when they opened it, and salty food. They may not convert. However, all other people may convert, even the descendants of Esav and Egyptians. Okay, next. When you're in your army camp, okay, you have to be especially careful about mitzvahs, because the accusations that are levied against you during the time of danger require you being extra careful. In addition to that, okay, there has to be a place outside the camp to use as a lavatory, and a soldier has to have a sort of an instrument which he can dig a hole wherever he is, and not just like urinate and do his thing on the floor. Okay, because you have to maintain a certain level of holiness under all circumstances. Okay, next. If you find a runaway slave who is owned by a non-Jew, you're not allowed to return him to his non-Jewish master because he may be mistreated. Okay, next. No prostitutes, no male prostitutes, no female prostitutes. Next, okay, I still have you. You're not allowed to lend money on interest to Jews. Even if it's consensual on their side, you're not allowed to. You could enter a joint business effort together and share profits. So in banks, they have a document that's called a heter iska, because unlike the movie you saw when you were in 4th grade and they taught you about the bank, they don't really put your money in their big black safe and watch it for you. No, they invest it. So you're really a joint partner with their investments, and therefore you're allowed to take interest. However, there has to be a document attesting to that. Next, keep your vows. Okay. If you make a vow to give charity or to offer an offering, you have to do it before the holidays pass. Next, you're passing someone's vineyard and you think, oh, I like grapes. No, you're not allowed to just grab fruit off the tree that's owned by someone. That's called what? Stealing. Okay. Even if you work in the vineyard or in an orchard, you could eat the fruit that you're harvesting as you harvest, but you can't take any home. Okay? And that holds for all work in the fields. Divorce. Okay? It's good to divorce if you hate each other. Jews do not have to stay together in a bad marriage. Adultery is certainly grounds for divorce, but it could just be that they don't want to live together. Okay, in halacha, divorce has to be unilateral. He has to give the get, she has to willingly receive it. If she won't receive it, doesn't work. If he won't give it, doesn't work. It's unilateral. So the effect of this is it prevents situations that arise like in the States presently where they have bilateral divorces, where I said unilateral and I meant bilateral, where they have unilateral divorces where one person could divorce the other against the other person's will. You presently have a whole class of women in their 50s who have been divorced by their husbands who, guess what? What did they do then? They married younger women. Yeah, if a couple divorces and the woman marries someone else, she can't go back to her first husband. You have to be sure you want to divorce. New bridegrooms. A man gets married. Yes, and they're happy. So he's not allowed to serve in the military for a year. He's given a year exemption from the military, which is not practiced in Israel today, unfortunately. So he's supposed to be free for her for a whole year. He shouldn't take night jobs, travel away from home. The words in the text is, and make your wife rejoice for a year. Okay, so he has to be devoted to her. Okay, in the army here, they give you 2 weeks, 1 week before you're married, another week after, and that's it, which I think is inhumane. Okay, I have a grandson who's getting married soon, and she's like, Mazal tov, yes, and he's getting his 2 weeks, and and because he talks to her all of the time, like on the phone, he fell asleep at guard duty, so now he's in the military prison. Mazel tov, mazel tov. Okay, yeah. Which in Israel, if you fall asleep in guard duty, it is like so not good. It is like so not good. Okay, kidnapping. You may not kidnap someone, and if you do and take ransom, you get put to death.
Darn.
Okay, limit your career options. Next. If you see signs of tzaras on your body, which is a skin ailment that resembles leprosy but isn't leprosy, that came as a result of speaking forbidden speech, you're not allowed to hide the signs. You have to show them to a Kohen. If indeed it's tzaras, he's going to have you isolate from other people for a week and examine you again to see if it went away, which it will if you did tshuva, and if not, you're stuck in isolation until such time as it goes away. Okay, next. Okay, if you take security on a loan, if you take collateral, you can't leave a person with no possessions. Okay, clear? Like you have to leave them their bare necessities. You can't take everything as collateral. Next, you may not take testimony from immediate relatives. Next, you have to be good to the poor, widows, orphans, the very poor. So you do this also through agricultural laws. You have to leave them a portion of the field. If you drop sheaves, you have to leave them. If you drop whole bundles, you have to leave them. This is still practiced today. Next, okay, flogging. The halachic court has the authority to flog people.
What is flogging?
Hitting them.
Oh.
Okay? They could hit the person up to 40 times. Okay, it's meant to be more humiliating than painful, since it's the elders of the court who administer the flogging. So if it's like some 80-year-old rabbi, it's not going to be all that bad except for the humiliation. Okay, next. You have two brothers, okay? One of them gets married, but then he dies, okay? He has no children. The other brother is obligated to marry his widow. If that's not going to happen, if it's a bad idea, it's not going to be a good marriage, there's a ceremony through which they could be released, which is called chalitza. So the ceremony involves bringing 10 people there. The brother's shoe is taken off by the widow. The people who are running the show write a contract saying, and this is what shall happen to a man who won't marry his brother's widow. And from then on legal documents, he signs so-and-so, the man who wouldn't marry his brother's widow. Okay. But don't feel pressured. Okay. Okay. Okay, next. Okay. If you assault someone in a way that's humiliating, you grab their sexual organs or whatever, you pay a very heavy fine. Okay, next. We are getting towards the end. Okay. You are not allowed to own dishonest scales. Now, this applies to scales that weigh merchandise. If you want to own a dishonest body scale that makes you look thinner, like the only one you're fooling is yourself. Yes, 110. Okay, whatever. But anything that involves merchandise, you're not even allowed to own. So if your merchandise scale breaks, you have to throw it away. You can't just have it around. Okay, last thing in the Parsha. I can't believe that we finished. Okay, you have to remember Amalek. Okay, Amalek attacked the Jews when they were leaving Egypt, even though they were of no threat to them. They weren't going through their territory. The whole point was to show their own strength and to try to dispel belief in God. So you have to remember Amalek and destroy them. And that's it. We went through all 63 mitzvot. Okay,
But there's no,
there should be
there's no
63.
nation.